Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting Radio, your station for empowerment, music, and talk radio. EB Radio presents Empower Hour with Jaresha. A show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The Empower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Hello and welcome to Empower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore-Smith, and a little bit about myself. I am a best-selling author with over 19 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business management, development, and sales, CEO and founder of Empower on Purpose, LLC, where we provide leadership training and personal professional coaching and consulting services. Certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and owner of Envision Broadcasting radio station. If this is your first time tuning in, I am super excited that you are tuning into the show. I want you to know that I believe you have the power to be great, have great, and do great. You just have to be willing to unleash your greatness and take action. So on this show, I speak with leaders, motivators, and influencers who want to share their stories and journeys to empower the world for growth and success. Every week, we take a look at an empowerment quote that we are pondering and how it can empower us for success. So this week, I hope you are ready for it. The quote is, "You were put on this earth to achieve your greatest self, to live out your purpose, and to do it courageously," by Steve Maraboli. Someone truly needs to hear this. Oh, my goodness. Someone needs to write this down and affirm it, not just today, but every single day. This quote tells us that you are not here by accident. And the fact that you are and have been here as long as you have, ask yourself, have you achieved your greatest self? Are you living out your purpose? Or are you allowing fear to stop you from being great? What are you waiting for? We make the huge mistake of thinking that we have time and time is on our side, but we don't, and it's not. But I will tell you what is on the inside of you, and that is greatness. You may not think you are capable of doing that thing that you keep saying that you can't do, but you can. You may not think you can have that thing that you have always dreamed about, but you can. You may not think you can be who you have always dreamed about being, but you can. The key words are you can, but I ask you, will you? Will you stop living a mediocre life and making excuses and not taking action? Will you stop blaming other people for why you haven't done what you want to do? You know, when I made a decision to finish my undergrad and get my MBA, it took me about 7 years because I had children, got married, got a divorce, but I finished. And let me tell you, years ago when I was in my early 20s, I knew that I wanted to start and launch a business. And over the years, I let the light dim, but I never let that light go out. And you know what I'm talking about, that drive. I just got serious about the thing that I knew that was within me. Oh, I got so serious, and I activated it. I'm telling you this because I truly feel like you need to activate your greatness. You need to turn the switch on. You need to unleash it, whatever it's going to take for you to start achieving your greatest self and living out your purpose, and you need to do it now. So right now, I am super excited to tell you about my special guest, Vanessa Zamy. Vanessa Zamy is a business expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author dedicated to helping full-time employees transition to entrepreneurship by building their business while employed. Her consulting company, Your Vision's Catalyst, coaches and advises 9-to-5ers on how to build a profit-producing, purpose-driven business without the overwhelm. It's not hustling that's bad. It's how you're hustling that they fix. With the focus on efficiency and effectiveness, Vanessa Zamy works with you as a new entrepreneur on taking care of your life while also taking care of your business. Her motto, keep it simple, then keep it moving. Vanessa's background includes a management science and engineer degree from Stanford University and a strategic leadership role at Fortune 500 companies. Welcome, Vanessa. I'm super excited to have you on the show tonight. How are you?
I'm excited to be here. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am amazing. So, I just shared a little bit of your bio, and for one, let me just point out that I absolutely love your motto, keep it simple, then keep it moving. I love it, love it, love it. But I would love if you would take some time just to tell us a little bit more about you and, some of the amazing things that you're truly doing.
Yes, I'm happy to. So I coach, consult, and advise 9-to-5ers on how to grow their profit-producing, purpose-driven business, even with a demanding day job. And I do that through my consulting company, Your Vision's Catalyst. And essentially, I work with people who are right now, you're at a stage where you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out, you're like, OMG, I decided to start this business. I thought it was going to be easy because all these ads were like, oh, yeah, 6 steps to $1 million, da-da-da-da-da. And then you did the business and you realize it's more than just a day one launch, right? Growing a business and making it successful, as I'm sure you know, Jaresha, right? Takes a little bit more than just a day one, hey, friends and family, I'm out here. And so I help entrepreneurs make it past that so they can continue moving forward and keep moving forward in their business efficiently and effectively while doing their day job, while managing their family and household. I have a lot of mompreneurs, so to speak, as well, who are balancing being a mother, a professional day job, and then, this dream that they're doing as well, too, with their business that they're using to set an example for their kids as well as achieve generational wealth.
That is so awesome. And I will tell you that I truly, truly understand. Like you said, it definitely takes, it's not a one day to launch. And I will say that I don't think I've ever done anything as difficult, challenging, and put in so much sweat, blood, and tears as the blood, sweat, and tears when it comes down to really launching a business. I think we have this idea, like you said prior to, of, it's just going to be, I'm going to launch a business and then it's going to be smooth selling. And it's not. It's not at all. Like, I don't want to paint the picture like it's not a great thing to have the freedom, the financial freedom and everything, and all of that, the freedom from time
but to get
and all
to
of
that
that
point.
for a certain, Exactly. That is the thing. You have to build to get to that point. So I truly love that you're helping, those full-time employees transition to entrepreneurship because, like you said, it's all about the building. So tell us more, I guess, about, some of the things that you've done to actually help some of, those. So say, for instance, you have that person that comes to you and they're working full-time and they're looking at transitioning to, entrepreneurship. So tell us more about like a conversation or how you would help that person.
Yes. So essentially, first question I ask people is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how much do you want this business, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how much do you want this business? And then essentially, I only work with 8, 9 to 10. So there's that. And why do I make that question happen is because a big part of what I said, what you said in the intro, and what I also mentioned as well too, right? Profit-producing, purpose-driven business owners is what I work with. And that purpose-driven part is really important, right? And it ties back to what you were saying in the introduction of this radio show, right? How fitting is that essentially it's you have something that you want to do, right? There's a gap in a hole in your life. I'm just talking you as the person who's listening to this right now. And essentially the question that I have when I say on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want this business is the business that you're doing that gap, right? Is the business that you're doing connected to what it is that you believe you were put on this earth to do, right? And because when we talk about the difficulties of entrepreneurship, right, it's one of those things where when you have something that's tied to your purpose, it gives you a reason, even with the ups and downs, because it's a roller coaster. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, right? So even with the ups and downs, if you have it tied to your purpose, if you have it tied to something that you actually want to do, then it becomes that much easier to push through, right? See it through, so to speak. And with that being said, I think of it as the analogy I give my clients in my community is it's a marathon. Entrepreneurship is not a sprint. Entrepreneurship is not done in 30 seconds, woo, woo, gold medal. It is a marathon. It is, mile 1, mile 26, mile, everything in between. Yes. That's what it is. And it takes, when you run long distance, I did like track and field way back when in high school. And essentially, I also use like running to like lose weight, but essentially for those who are familiar with running, right, running a longer distance takes endurance. It takes heart, it takes mind, it takes soul, right? So at the end of the day, that's the same thing with entrepreneurship. And when you have something that's tied to your purpose, it makes it that much easier, right? It doesn't make it, doesn't make entrepreneurship any less sort of difficult in that grand scheme of things, but it makes it easier for you when you have a long day after work and you're exhausted from work because your boss is a hot mess, your coworkers were acting a mess, were acting a fool. You can say, okay, you know what, but this is tied to my purpose. Like this business I want to do is tied to my purpose. And it gives you that much of a greater reason to actually say yes to it. Versus what ends up happening is a lot of times it's, I'm so tired. Tomorrow. Next week. Next month, 10 years later, and so then you end up not doing the business, unfortunately. And that's sad. And the mission of your Business Catalyst, my consulting company, is to equip and empower ambitious solopreneurs to keep moving forward in their business. Because when that fateful day comes, because we're all going to die, when that fateful day comes, you can say that you lived your life without any shoulda, coulda, woulda. And it comes down to ensuring that you are keeping moving forward in this business that is tied to you, that is tied to your, what is that you want to do. I remember in the beginning stages when I was doing my business while doing my 9 to 5, I was dealing with the bad boss. I was like, OMG. At some point, I reached some dark mental times. I didn't know what was possible. And I was in the HR office a couple of times, and it was a lot. And I remember, especially your Business Catalyst, my business was what kept me through. The knowing that there was, there was a reason, that there was something else that I was meant to do, right? It wasn't just this terrible, awful job and boss that I had to deal with. And it was also like that time when it was the second company that I had done in corporate America, and because the company's great. The company was a wonderful culture. Like, it was just, amazing. I was able to be myself, but then this one person, this one boss, right? It was just like, I was like, really? What's going on here? The universe is trying to tell me something. But with that being said, with your Business Catalyst, it gave me the reason to say, you know what? Let's not shoot up this office. Let's do something else. It came to that place where I was just like, I see why these people be out here shooting these offices. And so with that being said, your Business Catalyst is that way for me to say, you know what? There's a reason. There's something else for me to live for and be, right? And it's not just having to be this cubicle, 9 to 5 employee, right? Now, I didn't have a timeline for, what next after that. But I said, you know what? I know this is my purpose. I know it's tied to my purpose. I know it's a number 10 for me on the scale of 1 to 10. So we gonna keep it moving. And that's step number 1. There's even more steps. So then to further answer your question in terms of what else I tell people. So once we go through that process, then it's a matter of going through the actual tactical stuff. But I always say business is 20% mindset, 20% tactical mechanics, and then 80% mindset. And so with that being said, it's, go to the mechanics. And what I do with people is there's a lovely exercise that I do. It takes a couple of hours. It literally just developing their schedule, right? In the simple form is developing your schedule. But essentially what ends up happening is that because you are, as a new entrepreneur and as someone going through your business and you've launched and you're realizing all the difficulties that business has to offer, there are thoughts in your mind that are like, oh man, if I just quit this job, I have so much more time. OMG, if I just quit this job, this would be so much easier, right? And what you don't know is that it's not really any easier, right? And it's actually harder. And the reason why I tell people to keep their day job while they can is because it provides you with that capital. and that money that you can invest back into your business. Because financial stress in business is not cute. You might be out here like with time stress, quote unquote, but financial stress is not cute. It makes you make poor decisions. You end up, sometimes you get away from your actual purpose. You end up going from business idea to business idea. You end up essentially, doing a business that you don't really want to do, right? And then at the end of the day, it's just terrible. It's just terrible. You end up in this like, it's just bad, essentially, right? And then especially some of you're doing this business, you have a family, you have other people depending on you. It's not just you. And so that just makes it even more complicated and difficult. So I tell people using that capital, being grateful for your day job to give you that capital, which means being like, thank you, day job. I appreciate you, but I'm going to shut you off at 5 p.m. But I appreciate you, but like 5 p.m., laptop closed. Let's get to the business work. And that is also the first part of what I connect with my clients on as well is just what are you saying no to? Because at the end of the day, the thing is, like, I'll tell you my story. Essentially, my 7 month, there was a 7 month time frame when I was building. So I built my business in like less than 30 days, like registration, website, all that stuff, logo, all that stuff, less than 30 days. Cool. Then was actually getting clients. So in the 7 month time frame, I was building this business while at the same time. I then started like another business as well too, in like real estate. And at the same time, I then was like doing my day job and deal with the terrible boss. At the same time, I lost like 30 pounds, but I was like running around and, losing the weight because, that way I had my cardio up and stuff. At the same time, writing a best-selling book and then released it as well too, made it a best-selling book with over 500 orders in 5 days. At the same time, then I also got promoted at my day job too with 6-figure salary that I then used to invest back into my business. But wait, here's the thing. I slept 7 hours a night. Slept 7 to 9 hours a night. And because essentially a big part of what I do is I'm not about the whole, you need to burn the midnight oil, 2 a.m., go to sleep, and then 4 a.m., wake up. And like, unless you have a newborn child, there's no reason for you to be out here only with 1 to 2 hours of sleep at night. Like, there is no reason for that. And so with that being said, I also work with my clients. It's sort of like, what are your non-negotiables? Like, some people, you don't need sleep. Some people, you're just like, I can get 4 hours of sleep at night. That's great for me. Most of the time with my clients, they're like, nah, I need to get to 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. I need that, so they can manage the day job. They can manage their, household and kids as well as manage this business, right? And be awake doing it at the same time. And so with that being said, I then also with my clients on non-negotiables. So what are your non-negotiables, right? Some of them sleep. So it's like, what time are you sleeping? What time are you waking up? Great. So now between the time that you wake up and the time that you go to sleep, that's the time that you have to get everything else done. And so then I work with them on an exercise of, okay, what else needs to get done in your life? Okay, maybe virtual homeschooling. I have one client, for example, several clients where, homeschooling, preschool, not homeschooling, but essentially virtual schooling their kids during these times, right? And so with that being said, I'm going to fit that in. And when you're going to check in with the kids or when you're not and all that other jazz, right? And then at the same time, food for yourself, for the family. At the same time, going through your day job as well too. And so then after we take care of all that, we put all that stuff in there, then what time is left for the business? And that then becomes I was able to help, a mother where she was like, I have no time for my business. OMG. We found 18 hours in her week while also getting her 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night where she could find time for her business, right? And that's really what it comes down to is a lot of it is then at the end of the exercise, my clients, it's like, oh, snap, there is time. Right? Because it's a matter of changing the relationship that you have with time. At the end of the day, if you quit your day job, you think you're going to have more time, but you're actually not. Because here's what happens. There are full-time entrepreneurs coming to me like, Vanessa, how are you doing this? Like, I don't have any time to do my content with my marketing, and I have no time for this. I have no time for that. How are you doing, Vanessa? Full-time entrepreneurs asking me this question. So if you out here with your part-time self struggling with time, you're not the only one. There are full-time entrepreneurs also struggling with time. And what people need to remember, and what I said in my book, what I say like to all my clients is that at the end of the day, time management does not exist. Time management does not exist. You cannot manage time. You can only manage yourself. You cannot manage time. You have 24 hours a day. That's it. Boo-hoo, like the end, right? You can only manage what you're doing in that time and how you're doing it. That's all you can manage, right? And so the thing is, if you can't even make use of 2 hours that you have, when you have 40 hours, it's just not going to work. Because what ends up happening is that you're just going to find an excuse like, let me go to the mall right now. Oh, you know what? Let me do some laundry right now. You know what? I'll just take a nap. Like, let me, and then before you know it, you're back to the same 2 hours that you had. And so having more time is not going to help you, right? It's also going to lead you to, when you quit your job, you don't have financial stress. It's just not going to be pretty. It's not going to be cute. So with that being said, it's how do we fit in what it is that you're doing and how it is that you're doing it for your business into your existing life. So I'm all about fitting in the business into my client's existing life versus fitting your life around your business. And the key to, essentially, it's like the happiness in your business doesn't have to be when you at $7 million like 5 years from now and you're like, OMG, right? It could start now. It could start today while you're working on this purpose-driven business. Because at the end of the day, the happier you feel, the better you feel about your business, the better you will feel about doing it, and the better you will feel about making it successful, and the better you will feel about continuing to move forward on your legacy and your generational wealth on, maybe you want to build that community center in your community, and, you want to have the fun to do that, and your business is the way to do that. Maybe you want to inspire other people, other members of your family to take a different path. Maybe you want to, maybe the first in your family, like I was, right, to do entrepreneurship, right? And so maybe that's your story. And so at the end of the day, it's the better you can feel good about what it is that you're doing, the more successful you will be doing it. And things just flow. Things just flow in. It's like a flow in, right? And so fixing the what and how of what you're doing is what I do with my clients. It's the big meat of it. And that comes into the whole efficiency and effectiveness of the marketing and really marketing and the sales part as well when it comes to business. So yeah, that was a lot.
Awesome. that was truly amazing. And I truly hope that, everyone that's listening, if you haven't realized by now, you probably need to get out your notebook and take some notes, because everything that you mentioned, just absolutely nuggets. I know, during what you just mentioned, you actually talked about being an author. So please tell us more about, your books and how we can find them.
Yeah, so my book is available on Amazon Kindle, and but you can also get like a version of Kindle that is, if you don't have Kindle. Anyways, with that being said, it's available on Amazon, and so it's called Finish, the Solopreneur's Guide to Getting Stuff Done, and it maps out a 6-step process that I essentially did in my life. And the way the book started actually is throughout my life. I remember ever since I was, it was 12 or 13 years old. I remember a moment I was at the train station. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and Boston, Massachusetts, so trains and buses are a big part of my life. And with that being said, so I was on a train. I remember a friend came up to me. She was like, "So Vanessa, how do you do it? How do you do it?" And I'm like, I study? Like, what do you mean? I was just so confused, right? But then that was the first time, but it wasn't the last time. And essentially every year after that, I was always getting that question from someone different in some different space of my life, some different chapter, some different environment. Like, Vanessa, how do you do it? That question, that word, just how do you do it, Vanessa? And essentially, fast forward to then, I write the book, and essentially, when I woke up with your Visions Catalyst, an idea for your Visions Catalyst, I was like, it was like oh snap! That's what people are asking me. They're asking me like how I get stuff done, like how I set out to a goal, then actually do the goal, right? How I just randomly come out with the best of the book, right? How do I just randomly, how is it that I just do stuff, right? And that's what they were asking me. And so realizing that, and then I was like, okay, you know what? Now's the time for me to write that out. Now's the time for me to essentially answer that question, if that makes sense. And so in answering that question, I then was like, okay, how do I, and I like, in terms of my teaching style, I like to make things, keep it simple, keep it moving. So giving you actionable, tactical strategies and steps to move forward with. So I said, okay, let me do this like in a 6-step sort of process. At first, the book was really going to be about taking action. It was going to end on you taking action. And I was like, no, but I feel like the people who ask me how I do it are not really, they don't have issues taking action. Like, I have Harvard people asking me how to do it, right? I have Stanford people asking me, how do you do it? Like, I don't think it's that they have issues taking action, right? And so what is that missing piece that is a differentiator? And that comes to essentially, then that's why the book was called Finish. So Finish, the 6-step process of getting stuff done. And so the first 3 steps are about project management. And then the last 3 steps are about self-management, because that is the key differentiator, self-management. How are you managing yourself, right? And when I talk about the whole, even entrepreneurship, follows this guide, it's 20% mechanics, 80% mindset, right? But how do you manage yourself? How am I managing myself, right? How have I been able to do that? And so, because that is a big, big component of it, because you can take action, but then you fail because you're running around the world with your mind. And at the end of the day, or essentially, think about it with like a marathon where you could take action, you could start the race, but then you're like, water, or you're like, oh my goodness, my thighs hurt. You know what? Let me just go to the sidelines right quick. I'll be back in the race, like you can do that. That actually could happen. And that happens a lot for people. And so finish ends up being F for focus your intention, I for increase your knowledge, N for navigate your resources. That's all the project management piece. That's all the planning phase. And then we go into the other I, which is initiate your success. And that's taking action. But it doesn't stop there, because then you have to do S and H. You have to season your soul. Then you got to hug it out. So seasoning your soul is all about how do you internally manage yourself when the doubt comes in, when the fear of success comes in, when the imposter syndrome comes in, when all these, I call it the Voldemort. I'm a Harry Potter fan, so I call it like the Voldemort in my book. I'm like the Voldemort coming for your mind, coming for your life, creeping up in there. And so then that's the first part. And then essentially the H, hug it out, is about how do you then use the external around you to ensure that the internal within you is set up for success. And so how to use that external around you so that the internal within you set up for success. And so that's what the hug it out part is about. And that is also part of like when I work with my clients, it's like, okay, what is the toxicity in your life that we need to get rid of? Right? For some people, it's, I remember one client, I was like, oh, so what do you do during your day? She's like, well, usually, I put my kids up to bed, and then I'll start calling up people to check in on them. And we do this every night. She's like, yeah, and then I start working on my business at like 11 p.m. And the thing is, I was like, okay, so these people you're checking up on, like, who's it? Well, just like family members and all this thing. And I was like, why? Like, what are you doing? Like, no, right? And the thing with why I say that is because what happens is that she checks up on these people, but it ends up being just a conversation of just like drama. I was like, girl, let me tell you what happened. No. And it's just like, you don't need that in your life, right? And other times it's like you have people just calling you up to just share their message with you. And you don't need to allow space for that, honestly, right? Unless it is within your household, there's no reason for you to allow space for that, right? And the thing is, that's very hard for people. And it's a model, a key time management principle that I live by. And I teach my clients, you need to be selfish. You need to be selfish. And it's like, you need to be selfish, right? It has a bad connotation in society where it's like, oh, selfish, you're so selfish, especially for women. It's like, oh, what do you mean you're not going to be at this bake sale? Oh, the worst. And the thing is that the reason why you're not at your base scale because you're working on this purpose-driven business so you can, achieve a better life for your kids, right? So you can at least be high for your grandkids so that you can, make an impact in your community and, inspire other people, clients and customers with maybe your self-care products, with the consulting that you're doing, with their digital marketing, with yes, you're being selfish, but are you really being selfish? Right? Is it selfish for me to show up to this podcast interview and give some knowledge here? Right? Is that selfish? I don't know. You tell me. And so it's just a matter of you need to be selfish, right? You need to be selfish and think about it in terms of you need to say no to things. You need to say no so that you can say yes to other things. You need to leave that room to say yes. You need to leave that room to say, yeah, listen, that phone is ringing. It's my cousin with the drama. I don't need to pick up that phone right now. I don't. I don't need to pick up that phone, right? It's allowing yourself to say that. It's allowing yourself to be in that moment, to say no, and being okay with that. Because you're saying no so that you can say yes to spending more time with your family. So that you can say yes to that spa, vacation that you're giving yourself because you congratulate yourself for such a great 6 months of doing your business, right? So you can say yes to helping out your customer and your clients and delivering excellent customer service so that they can come back again and give you more income so you can make even more impact, right? And that's what you're saying yes to when you're saying no to other things. And that's what it comes down to, right? You need to be selfish. You need to say no to other things in order to say yes to yourself. And so I said the question I was answering, but essentially what that relates to the book, self-management piece of things and how it relates to, how you creating your external environment so that you can also support the internal part of yourself too.
That is so good. That's so good. So you are definitely, and have shared some truly amazing tips, nuggets, wisdom, and, as far as how to really help those that are looking to jump into entrepreneurship or have, launched into entrepreneurship. But what is the one thing that you wish that you would have known when you started or prior to starting your business?
Ooh, girl, let me tell you. I wish I would have known and I should say essentially it's to not take 7-figure advice for my 4-figure business, if that makes sense. That's how I compare it to. And it's because it's a lot. What happens is that there's so much out here in the web, right? Information, great, right? Really amazing. but essentially this information for you at different stages of where you are. And what ends up happening is that, you're starting a business, or even I was starting a business, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, they say get a team. Like, oh, yeah, they say do this, they say do that. And what you don't realize, the people saying this is that they're either not talking to you at your 4-figure new entrepreneur level. They're talking to, like, the person who's already hitting the 6 figures, or the person who's at 8, 9 figures, or whatever it may be. They're not talking to you for real, right? And so the advice that you're getting, you need to filter that through your mind for how does that apply to where I am right now in my business, right? And so what ended up happening is, like, for example, you need to get a virtual assistant. Like, that was a trend. And so then I remember I got a virtual assistant, and it was too early for me. I just wasn't ready for the assistant. I wasn't ready for a team member in general. Why was I not ready for this team member? It's because, yes, I had a vision at the time, and I'm looking back on it because now I have a marketing and sales team, and I can look back on why the other hiring process did not work out. She was a great, ambitious young woman. Also, actually, she lived in Ohio, actually. And young woman lived in Ohio. And I'm not saying it because she just said that she's in Ohio. But essentially, yeah, so young woman who lives in Ohio. And it was great and really ambitious, really amazing worker. But at the end of the day, it was, yes, I had a vision. I had a vision for where I wanted my business to go. I was like, yes, you want to achieve this amount, cool. I had no idea how. Right? Which, that's great if you're an entrepreneur. It's like great, like you can work with that as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, right? It's someone who's solo, like where you can work that. Here's the thing. When you hire someone, they want you to know how. They don't want to be out here running around in circles with you. They expect you to have the circle at least somewhat outlined, and then give them the circle, and then they work with the circle. Right? Now, maybe sometimes the circle may, might be a little split in the circle where you added something in the circle and you close the circle up. But the point is that they don't want to be a hot mess like you. Right? They expect it to already be nice and good, and, you just come along, and they come along, and you just give them some direction. Right? They expect direction pretty much. They expect direction. And so when they're sitting here running around, and then, like, they're running around too, it's just not a good relationship. It's just, so essentially, in summary, I just wasn't ready. Wasn't ready for that. Fast forward a couple months later, hired a marketing sales team. We're killing the game. It's cool. So, but essentially at that point in time, it wasn't a good fit, right? So it's like taking 7-figure advice. People, oh yeah, you need assistance. You need like da-da-da-da. For my, at the time, like 4-figure business at the time, like whatever it may be. I think it may have been less than that. I don't even remember. But essentially, with that being said, I just wasn't ready. Wasn't ready for that person. And so the advice that I say, don't take 7-figure advice for 4-figure business. Now, someone might say, but Vanessa, shouldn't you be like acting like you want to be like, essentially, what is it? I feel like there's a saying where it's like you act the way you expect to be in the future or whatever it may be. Right. I forget what it is. There's some sort of saying. But the idea is like, well, if I want to be 7-figure business, shouldn't I do 7-figure things? No. When it comes to money and business, it's a completely different concept, right? Now, yes, okay, maybe you should dress for success. That's one thing. Okay, cool. Maybe you do that, perhaps. Right? And maybe you show up and you put yourself out there. Okay, cool. Okay, great. But when it comes to, like you should get a team of people, 5 to 10 people, work on your social media, do all these, like, no, that's not for you. That advice is not for you. That advice is not for you right now. Right? Like there are people, for example, it's like, let me get this marketing, email marketing system. I'll have 10,000 people. So let me get this 10,000. Let me subscribe to this 10,000. To this MailChimp that allows me to get like 10,000 subscribers for like $100 a month or whatever it may be, right? And then you're like, because I'm not there yet. I'm at 100 emails right now, but I will be at 10,000. So let me get the 10,000 one. And so a lot of entrepreneurs that are doing that, and it's like, wait, or you can just start with the free option because you only have 100 emails. Exactly. Wait for when you get to the 10,000 to get to the 10,000, right? And that's really like what it comes down to is that wait for the 10,000 until you get to the 10,000, right? There's no reason to be out here throwing money down the drain, doing things that you don't need to do for real, right? And that's what it comes down to. That's really what it is. Yeah, don't take 7-figure advice for your 4-figure business. That's it. Yeah.
That's good. That's good though. That's really, really good. And I completely, agree with you 150%. So, we know in life and of course in businesses, we experience those successes and those wins, but also failures. It's the failures that teach us those important lessons. Can you share a lesson that you may have learned from, being able to fail forward?
Well, aside from that teammate example, let me see. That was like that was an interesting fail. That was like money down the drain of the whole situation. But anyways, with that being said, another fail I would say would be. I think that was like the biggest. I'm trying to remember if any other fails, like even compared to that. I would say I've had fails in that in terms of. I don't know how to word it, but I've had fails in terms of investing in. So I've invested in my business, right? Through essentially, it's like investing in myself through investing in business, right? So investing in coaching programs and other such programs, and for support, other such things. And some of them have been good, some of them have been not so good. Some of the not so good have been $10,000. So with that being said, I would say my fail forward has been essentially taking that chance on myself and taking that chance on someone else, and not being adequately prepared or knowledgeable on what it was I was getting myself into in terms of not being like, yes, I understood, like, I have faith in myself, but essentially I didn't also have my faith in myself relative to the resources that the person was giving me, or I thought the person was giving me, or the program, so to speak, and it just wasn't that. And it just wasn't, it wasn't the right fit. It just wasn't, it was bad. And the thing is that there were a bunch of us, like, also enrolling in the same cohort, which had the same experience too. And we all learned that day, or that period of a couple of weeks, I should say. And it just wasn't the right program. It wasn't the right fit for where I was in my business. And again, 7-figure advice, 4-figure business, do 7-figure actions for your 4-figure business. But anyways, with that being said, it just wasn't the right fit for where I was in the program. They didn't provide really support for any of us. It was very much like oh, you can do it. It's like, I know I can do it. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing it, right? Like, as opposed to, here's some tactical stuff. Here's some review. Here's some, like, specific information and guidance that's relative to you. And so that's why it's a big part of what I do in my coaching program is I do provide that personalized, tailored experience and assistance for my clients in providing a balance of that one-on-one support, because it's very, like, at the end of the day, your life is different from someone else's life. Your business is different from someone else's business. And so it's just, you have different challenges, different successes that you were dealing with, and different business models and different businesses that you're dealing with. And at the end of the day, there's a level of intentional and one-on-one hand-holding support that is needed when it comes to this phase of entrepreneurs that I work with, the new entrepreneurship space, where you're less than 3 years out and you're just looking to just build and grow to then eventually get it to be efficient and a system process. So just I would say there. Yes, I would say it was a financial fail there. The team thing was a business strategy fail, and then the investing in the wrong program and coaching for me was a sort of financial fail. However, I would say the experience that I got from that was I understood what it is that I did need in terms of support and guidance. And then, I have been able to find support that supports that, essentially, coaching programs that support that. So that's what I'd say there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you were to give those that are listening just one piece of advice, and I truly know that you have given so much advice this evening, but if you were to just pull one piece of advice that you would share with the listeners on how they can empower their own growth and success journey, that is, what would that be?
I would say it's a mixture of, I would say, patience. Just be patient. And I'd say keep that, and I'll put that in line with my motto: keep it simple and keep it moving. What happens is that a lot of entrepreneurs, you're measuring yourself. You have this big dream, you have this big vision, but then every single day you're measuring yourself against that vision. And so you're like, yeah, I'm gonna have this house on the beach, and I'm gonna make this, $1 million, and da da da. And then tomorrow you made like $100. And you're like, oh, that's not $1 million. I must be doing something wrong. All right, next business, or next idea, next thing. And what happens with that when it comes to business, it's a matter of consistency. It's a matter of one focus, so that's keep the simple part, but also consistency. And with consistency, a big part of that a lot of entrepreneurs are missing is the patience part of it. And I was very patient. I've taken the bus and train all my life, very patient. It's very skilled. That was engraved within me in my life. But essentially, it's a matter of being patient with your business. And so being focused, but also being patient, because it's not this whole 6 steps to $1 million. You're going to get it in like 6 days. Like, no, or 5 steps, five days to get to 500K. I did it in 2 days. You can too. Like, no. And the thing is, what it comes down to is a lot what these entrepreneurs aren't telling you, and that's the whole part of the whole 7-figure advice for your, 4-figure business or 0-figure business, is that, for them, it's like their 10th business that they're doing, right? Or they spent 5 years building a following, and then they made the sales in the 2 days, right? That's what they don't tell you.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is that you're taking that advice, you're like expecting all these results, and then you don't get it, and you're like, oh, the strategy doesn't work. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to business, and it's also what my principle when it comes to marketing too, is that every strategy works, every marketing platform works, for example, right? Every marketing platform, like you can make money from any marketing platform. You can make money doing many different things, from like webinars to workshops to low ticket stuff to high ticket stuff to health and wellness to coaching to like you can make money in like many different things, right? It's not necessarily that you can't sell anything. You can sell anything you want. You just have to have the right messaging, right? But the thing is that a lot of entrepreneurs, what trips a lot of entrepreneurs up is that, you did this one launch, you didn't hit your goal. You're like, oh, the business must be bad. Next business, right? So you're just not patient. You just keep running around in circles, not even in circles. You just keep running around different races in different states and different towns, and you're not able to establish that consistency within your business and within like what it is and the goals that you actually can accomplish for yourself. And so I would say the big advice I would say is be patient, because it's a big part of entrepreneurship. Be patient with your strategy, right? And at some point you do end up having to stop the strategy, but it's not after the first time you do it. It's definitely not after the first time you do it.
Right.
And so be patient and stay consistent and just keep it simple and keep it moving.
That's good. That's so good. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, that's so good. So please tell us, do you have anything coming up on the horizon? If so, please share.
Yeah, well, and I just wrapped up I do 5-day business boot camp for people, free 5 days boot camp, where this one was centered around productivity. And so how do you ensure that you're taking care of yourself while taking care of your business and essentially managing yourself, right? And that new habits to replace the toxic habits that come about. And so I did a lot of that this past week, and we're going to do it again in March. And so to sign up for that, if you're watching this or listening to this, I would say it's bootcamp.vzamy.com. But really, the best way to reach me is to just hop and join the community. Skyrocket Your Side Business with Vanessa Zamy. It's available on Facebook. The link to sign up is vzamy.com. That's V, then my last name, Z zebra, A animal, M money, Y.com. So I tell telemarketers, yeah. So vzamy.com.
Love it, love it, love it. This has been absolutely, absolutely amazing. As I've said, I think throughout this whole entire evening that you have truly shared some amazing nuggets with us all. So those that are out there listening, I truly hope that you have, gotten all kinds of nuggets. And please, 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 go find Vanessa, follow her, and, stay connected to get more of this amazing nugget that she's shared. So, again, I just want to thank you for being such an amazing guest and sharing all of this knowledge, with us. Very, very, very important tips, seriously. And I say that because I know the journey that, I have been on, and absolutely, absolutely amazing nuggets and insights, y'all. I can't say that enough. So, Vanessa, I thank you so much for being on the show this evening.
With some of you listeners.
What'd you say, Vanessa?
I said looking forward to connecting with some of you listeners here further. Yes.
Absolutely. And actually, if you could, I know you shared, tell us again how we can stay connected to you. So, yeah, share that real quickly before we go ahead and close, if you could.
Yeah, so I have a community of ambitious, purpose-led solopreneurs on Facebook. We're at around like 1,100 members so far in the group, and it's really, I just go in there, I go in live, and I share with you daily business tips to keep you moving forward in your business on productivity, marketing, sales, mindset, goals, all that jazz, and as well as also host pop-up workshops in that community too. And so you're welcome to join us and engage and introduce yourself at vzamy.com. So you can sign up at V for Vanessa, and then my last name, Z zebra, A animal, M money, Y.com.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much, Vanessa, for being a guest on the Empower Hour with Jaresha show. Listeners, I thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. If you are interested in starting your own show or being a guest on the show to share your amazing story and journey to equip, encourage, or empower others for growth and success, please email envisionb at empoweronpurpose.com. Otherwise, please tune in next week where you will hear an amazing story from a leader, motivator, and influencer. Until next time, stay safe and be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the Empower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journey in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit www.empoweronpurpose.com. Remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.